Even though I would like to see our city safe, it sure would be fun to see a little bit of action tonight.
Hey, can I flip some of these lights on when it's time?
Let's not do it right
What do you got?
now.
You got the front, you got the side, the rear. Do you flip all three of those on? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
There's an old van. They probably got some issues there. Yeah, that'd be a good one to pull over. See what they got in that back of that van.
Bunch of kids.
Yeah, and protecting the public.
Yeah.
We're actually making the community a safer place just by
Just
sitting here.
in the
That's right.
rain.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad to have you here. Back in the early 2000s, Jim Bob Duggar was an aspiring senator and he was in the House of Representatives in the state of Arkansas. He apparently got a sign from God that he needed to run for Senate, and he had this website where he outlined all of the issues that he stood for. Now, the website, which is now the Duggar family, has been scrubbed from the internet, but Web Archives or the Wayback Machine actually has all of the unsavory details about the Duggars and some of their thoughts that are completely and utterly hypocritical, given the fact that they are now defending Josh Duggar. So, what is it all about? Well, let's dive back to 2000 AD, the year 2000. Jim Bob Duggar was preparing to run for Senate. He and his family would often be seen in public wearing matching red outfits. They were promoted as the quintessential family, the perfect Christian family that were espousing all kinds of amazing Christian beliefs. In fact, on their website, an endorsement by Jim Holt read this: Jim Bob is a Christian family man who believes we need to return our country to the traditional values upon which our nation was founded. He has proved that he will stand up for what's right, even when confronted by political pressure. He understands how to budget for a family. He knows how to stretch a dollar. He will go to Washington with a common sense business approach to government. He believes taxpayers should be able to keep more of what they earn. He has sponsored bills to eliminate property tax on homes and lower sales tax on used cars, with both benefiting Jim Bob, I should mention. Jim Bob is a rental owner, so he owns a lot of property. So of course he's gonna want no property taxes, and he owns used car lots. So doing that isn't like an incentive to the wider public. All of these things were like things that helped Jim Bob. I feel like that was his whole motive with being in government, but that's just my opinion. Jim Bob's ideas on income tax reform are innovative. He will serve as a strong advocate for seniors, families, and the unborn. I know of no one with higher character. I enthusiastically endorse him and ask you to join me in voting for Jim Bob Duggar on May 21st. Jim Bob actually lost that election, by the way. So when his biography of his website, this is what it said: Jim Bob Duggar believes in strengthening families, eliminating government waste, and allowing taxpayers to keep more of what they earn. He encourages small business development and growth. Jim Bob is a member of the National Rifle Association and supports the right to bear arms. He believes in strong national defense and in honoring our veterans, and he will continue to be an advocate for senior citizens, the disabled, and the unborn. Jim Bob and Michelle and their family would like to represent you in Washington, D.C. His whole thing was like Christian family values. Now, when you click on the issues of this, it has it all laid out about what he actually thinks about, the various topics that people want to know about when picking a candidate for their Senate. His positional statement here is interesting. So he has a whole thing about pro-choice versus pro-life. He actually said that the woman that gets pregnant via ASA should actually have to have the baby, and she can give it up for adoption, and that the person that did that the perpetrator should get the death penalty. So in 2002, his position was that people that committed these types of crimes should be capital punishment was it. So he wanted to put to death anyone that did these types of crimes. He also had a lot of things to say about education, gun rights, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so back then, he wanted people that did and committed SA to be put to death. He also had some claims about promiscuity, some thoughts about promiscuity, which again here is interesting, being that his son is a promiscuous SOB, in my opinion. Now, this is related to the LGBTQ+, and this is what he said. Now, the internet is forever, and even though they pretend like they don't have these beliefs, it's very unlikely their beliefs have changed since he said this. But this is what he said to a outlet that interviewed him back in 2002. I believe what it says in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal and are endowed by the Creator with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I don't believe that anyone should have rights above others. That's why I oppose hate crime legislation. All crime is based on hate. So this was in reference to potential hate crime legislation that would make it a crime to commit anything against someone who is the LGBTQ+, protecting them under their civil rights so that it's a hate crime. It's now a hate crime, by the way, but he opposed them being a hate crime, saying that they don't deserve extra rights, which, by the way, is such a stupid argument. All they want is to be protected and not have people try to, hurt them based on their sexuality. He added that he supports the state law making it illegal for two men or two women to commingle in the bedroom. He said this: I believe that the Bible is the owner manuals of our lives, and other sins like adultery violate the scriptures, what scripture says. Interesting that he said adultery. What do you think he thinks now about adultery? God doesn't give us laws because he doesn't want us to have fun. He gives us laws to protect us. Promiscuity increases AIDS and other diseases. God's design is one man and one woman for a lifetime. What about gay people in a monogamous relationship? Asked the Citizen, which was the outlet that interviewed him. And he said, I've never heard of that. I'm sure it could happen. And then he said, each person has to decide. All of our laws were originally based on scripture. Each person has the right to vote and run for office and make changes in the laws. So he said back then that promiscuity led to AIDS, and basically said that gay people were increasing AIDS, which was a huge stigma that made hate crimes so common back then, because this was an argument that was used in the 2000s that was completely and utterly inaccurate. I mean, obviously sleeping around can, if you're not protecting yourself, increase your chances of getting a disease. But if you use protection, it goes way down, which they don't like to advocate actually safe interactions. They would just say you can't, it's no thing. But the fact that he said promiscuity increases this, I wonder what he thinks now about his son's promiscuity. So he spoke out so boldly against promiscuity then. Now he has almost in a way defended what Josh has done. He has minimized what he's done. His son effectively has admitted to doing things to children. He said that they should have been put to death if they did these things, but yet he doesn't want that for his son. And then also during that same time, Jim Bob wanted to put filters on libraries and schools so that children could not access indecent content while they were at school, because he said that these types of images on computers would make it so women would lead to violent crimes by people. He introduced an internet filtering bill. So according to the Freedom Forum Online, it says an Arkansas legislature has targeted P on the internet for the upcoming session in the pre-filed bill. Representative Jim Duggar, a Republican from Springdale, introduced House Bill 1003, which would require public schools and libraries to install filtering software to protect minors from harmful online material. The measures say that the public schools and libraries must equip public access computers with a software that seeks to prevent minors from gaining access to material that is harmful to minors, or purchase internet connectivity from an internet service provider that provides filter services to limit access to material that is harmful to minors. So he was rather obsessed with minors not getting access to these types of websites in December of 2000. December of 2000 is he going out swinging, wanting them to put filters on things. And we know that Josh talked about filters with his friend. We also know that Josh had filters placed by his wife, the Covenant Eyes, so that he would be monitored. I wonder how all these filters worked for you, Jim. Did it work? It doesn't seem like it worked. It seems like they found a way around this. Under the law, it says the bill means the public schools and libraries can now be held accountable if they violate the state's harmful to minors law by exposing children to P. It says if the bill employs a harmful to minors standards that does not distinguish between different age among minors. Free speech advocates often point out that material unsuitable for a 7-year-old may be suitable or even educational for a 17-year-old. And a representative that was not in favor of this said it fails to distinguish between different levels of minors and presents serious problems. Oh, and then another person, Jonathan Wallace, who was an internet law expert, said that the bill violates the First Amendment by ordering the use of overboard and flawed software that routinely blocks material with significant value to minors. So I'm sure he just didn't want kids looking at any girls, period. And he said this in response: P leads to crime and SA. It's bad for society, and we need children being exposed to this type of material. So he was against this kind of content in 2000. Now his son is facing charges for downloading and receiving and possessing CSAM. He said he was against all of this. He wanted filters. Josh had filters. And now Jim Bob's not coming out so boldly against what Josh has done. Instead, he's building a fence. He found friends to put him up in their home, and he's paying for, allegedly, Josh's lawyers. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye.